Hey everybody, Andrew Zimmern here. For the good folks at Shun Cutlery, purveyor of fine knives of all styles, shapes, for every budget, and the knives that I use here in our kitchen studio and in my own life at home. I want to talk to you today about something that people shy away from: knife mistakes. Okay, mistake number one: the knives that you own don't match the tasks that you need them for. What are must-have knives, right? I think a chef's knife, a smaller one for smaller tasks, and a paring knife. You know, I'd throw a good serrated knife in there as well. One thing that I can't live without are scissors. And a really good pair like this one stay sharp for a long time, and even better, they come apart for easy cleaning, which is super, super cool. Then there's categories of knives that are in the nice to have. This is a beak-nosed parer. It's especially useful if you're tourneing vegetables. Giant slicing knife, fantastic. This is a specialty knife. Do you notice how it goes down on one side and it's flat on the other? This is a right-handed slicing knife. The wrong knife for the task is probably the biggest mistake you use once you've purchased your knives. This is a very whippy knife. It's meant for petty and paring work. If you cut something that has a really hard exterior, like butternut squash, with a whippy knife, you may not cut yourself the first time, but you'll cut yourself the second time. You'll also find that this sticks in it. With a hard exterior like this, a thick, heavier knife like this one is designed specifically for that. This is a 6.5-inch nakiri. Okay, it's like a snub-nosed chef knife. It's got the nose removed, but it's uniform in thickness all the way down. So what happens when this goes into watermelon? As it's pushing down and the blade is cutting through, it gets to the fatter part of this knife and it starts to widen it, which makes it easier for the blade to push through, which brings more of this in contact with the flesh, and it'll go right through the hard stuff because it's also pushing it apart. Second set of mistakes is how we care for them. Shoving all these blades into a container like this one is gonna break all the tips. They're gonna clang together. They're gonna get dull faster. So what you have to do is care for them very, very, very carefully. If you notice over there, we have a magnetized rack to hold a set of knives, and I always take them off that way. I don't take them off towards the blade. We have blocks for all of our knives. Some of these came out of there. You can see another knife block that's larger over there. Super, super safe. If space is at a premium in your house, there are slots like this one where paring knives can sit up top. Other longer, bigger knives can sit down here. It takes every kind and shape of knife, right? Super, super easy. It's wood. If you slide them in and out carefully, it's not going to be a problem. Cutting boards. More people make the mistake of using the wrong cutting boards. Plastic boards, like these little wimpy ones, are just as bad as the thicker white plastic ones. Why? If I cut parsley on this, you'd see 100 little white lines in there because this knife goes right into that. All of those cracks will fill up with bacteria. You can't wash them out. On a white board that's plastic, it's got all these colored lines on it. That's just bacteria buildup. You don't want that. A really nice wooden board that's made of a material that is soft enough not to dull the knives, but hard enough to be resistant is what I like to use. Warm soapy water to wash them with, and a cloth that you run down the knife from the top down and then drying them immediately. Don't let them just sit out on a towel and air dry. Another very common mistake: how you hold the knife and how you move with the knife. There are several ways to hold a knife. The most important one is just shake hands with it. Just shake hands with it. Don't hold it down here at the end. The further away you are from the cutting part of the implement, the less control you have over it, and this is sharp. That's why I hold the knife like this when I'm cutting or slicing. Once you become really adept with cutting, slicing, chopping, dicing, carving, butchering, you will find that the knife in your hand has multiple uses. With a knife like this, I might not get out a tiny little knife to cut a cucumber. I might just choke up on this and use the part of the blade closest to my fingers. I have the most control right here and less control at the tip. So how you hold a knife is very, very important. Move at a pace that is appropriate to your skill set. Move assuredly and confidently. Then there's a safe time like mincing parsley where you can just go fast, right? When things are near the blade and you're working with both hands, go slow. So before I sharpen, I want to talk to you about honing. If I'm making beef stew on a Sunday and I'm using this knife, I'll probably hone 2 or 3 times. I just want to feel the same smooth cut every single time. And the minute I've cut something, I've chopped vegetables for 20 minutes. My knife is now not as sharp as it was when I started. So I hone the knife, I hold it at, 17, 18, 19 degrees. Now, you can start slowly. And with specialty knives like serrated and one-side sharpened knives, do not use that technique on here. There are actually specialty pieces of sharpening equipment that will do that, or you send them in. I was brought up in a kitchen where we didn't have these little modern beauties. These are tiny little inserts that have a certain grit level on them. And all you do is hold it down there and draw it. Just let the weight of the knife sit there. I can already feel it's pulling through smoother. And now I go through this other wheel. Then I have 2 little rods that are juxtaposed that are super soft. Oh yeah, super soft. That's beautiful. And that you can do in between meals with all of your knives. Shun will sharpen your knives for free. Just go to their website, all the information is there. But that's the largest opportunity for growth for a home cook is the proper honing and sharpening of their blades. The way you put an edge on a knife is to use a stone. The higher the number on the side of the stone, the softer it is. The average home cook only needs to sharpen their knives once a year. Take a towel, wet it. These have soaked for a couple of hours. Always soak your stones. This is coarse on one side, less coarse or smoother on the other. And all I do is I make sure that there's water on there. I wet the blade, and all I do, and what I'm trying to do is finish the blade at the end of the stone and start at the beginning of the stone. So I'm going from one end to the other. There are some people that consistently also sharpen both directions. And then back the other way. Flip it over. A little more water. That's how you do it. Super, super simple. Clean and care of your knives is important. It also influences clean and care of your other goods. I think it's fun. It's a nice Zen-like activity. And again, you don't want to do it, send your knives to Shun once a year. You're only going to pay for shipping and handling.